Hogwarts is not the best wizarding school in Harry Potter. There are 7 reasons why, and we're going through every single one of them to find out which school actually deserves the top spot. Every school gets graded the same way. 5 categories, 10 points each, 50 possible. How good are the classes? Will you actually survive to graduation? Is the campus worth living in? What's the culture like? And does the name on your diploma open doors? These scores are my best calls based on what we actually know. Some schools have 7 books of evidence. Some have a single paragraph on Wizarding World. Where the information runs out, I'm making a judgment call, and I'll tell you when I'm doing it. Quick thing before we start. Every school from here on out has less source material than Hogwarts. That's just the reality. I'm not going to keep flagging it every time. Just know that where gaps exist, I'm filling them with the best reasoning I can. Now, this video took me an embarrassing amount of time to research and put together. So if you're a Harry Potter fan and you're into content like this, subscribing genuinely helps me keep making it. But before we start, quick question. How many officially recognized wizarding schools are there in the entire world? There are 11. But out of those 11, we only know anything about 8. 3 of them are so secretive we don't even know their names. No location, no headmaster, no curriculum. The International Confederation of Wizards says they exist, and that's literally all we've got. They told the rest of the wizarding world nothing. And even out of the 8 we do know about, one of them, Koldovstorets in Russia, barely gave us anything. The one thing we know about Koldovstorets: instead of flying on broomsticks for Quidditch, their students rip entire trees out of the ground and fly on those instead. Full-sized trees, as brooms. So we're ranking 7. And the answer to which school is actually the best. It's not the one you think. We're going from worst to first. Starting at number 7. Durmstrang Institute. Location, unplottable. Somewhere in the far north of Europe. Nobody knows exactly where, and that's on purpose. Durmstrang teaches the dark arts. Not defense against them, the actual dark arts. The philosophy is that you understand your enemy by learning to become one. Bold idea. And on paper, it produces powerful wizards. The alumni list tells you everything. Victor Krum, international Quidditch superstar, one of the most famous athletes in the wizarding world. Other end, Gellert Grindelwald. Attended Durmstrang, got expelled for dangerous experiments, then went on to nearly take over all of wizarding Europe. That's the elite boarding school where graduates either run the world or try to burn it down. CEO or war criminal. Nothing in between. But Durmstrang's problems go deep. The school has a reputation for not admitting Muggle-born students. Whether that's written policy or just how it's always been, it's exclusion baked into who gets through the door. Their headmaster during the books, Igor Karkaroff, was a former Death Eater. The relationship with dark magic isn't just academic here. It bleeds into the leadership and the culture. That puts Durmstrang at 28 out of 50. It lands last because the blood purity issue drags everything down. You can teach the most advanced curriculum in the world, but if you're deciding who deserves to learn based on their parents, your school has a problem no amount of prestige can fix. But even at number 7, Durmstrang did something Hogwarts never managed. When Grindelwald became dangerous, the school identified the threat and expelled him before he could graduate. Durmstrang caught its worst student and removed him. Hogwarts had Tom Riddle for 7 years, never figured out he was the one who opened the Chamber of Secrets, got fooled into thinking he'd solved it, and gave him a special award for the cover-up. The last place school on this list built a better institutional response to a dangerous student than the most famous school in the wizarding world. That's reason 1. The school right above it has the exact opposite issue. Nothing is broken, but nothing stands out either. Number 6. Ilvermorny, Mount Greylock, Massachusetts. Hidden by clouds and enchantments at the summit, founded in the 17th century by Isolde Sayre, a descendant of Salazar Slytherin through the Gaunt family line. She fled Ireland, came to America, and built a school to be what Hogwarts should have been. 4 houses, 4 founders. Same skeleton as Hogwarts because it was literally modeled after it. But the sorting ceremony is genuinely better. 4 carved creatures sit in the entrance hall: the horned serpent, the wampus, the thunderbird, and the pukwudgie. When a new student steps forward, the creatures react if they want to claim you. Sometimes more than one reacts, and when that happens, you choose. The student picks, not a hat, not a teacher, you. At Hogwarts, the sorting hat technically considers your preference, but that conversation happens silently inside the hat, and most students don't even know they had a say. At Ilvermorny, your choice is the point. But here's the problem. Ilvermorny was built as a copy, and it never fully outgrew that. Same structure, slightly better execution on the sorting front, but nothing else that really distinguishes. Makusa, the American magical government, is isolationist, so an Ilvermorny diploma probably doesn't carry far outside the country. And while Tina and Queenie Goldstein both attended Ilvermorny and went on to play real roles in the fight against Grindelwald, that's still a thin alumni list compared to the century-deep names other schools can claim. 33 out of 50. Ilvermorny is fine, and fine doesn't win, but it gave its students something Hogwarts still hasn't: real agency in who they become on day one. A school founded by a Slytherin descendant ended up being more fair about sorting than Slytherin's own school. That's reason 2. Now, number 5, and this is where it gets personal. Let's talk about Hogwarts. If I'm going to rank it here, I need to be honest about what it gets right first. 4 founders: Gryffindor, Slytherin, Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff. Each one brilliant enough that their names still define the school 1,000 years later. Dumbledore running the place for decades, holding the titles of Headmaster, Supreme Mugwump, and Chief Warlock all at once. The castle itself, enchanted ceilings that mirror the sky, staircases that move, a room that becomes whatever you need. The house system creates community. Quidditch creates culture. The Great Hall creates memory. And academically, the ceiling is absurd. The curriculum runs from charms and transfiguration to potions, herbology, defense against the dark arts, astronomy, ancient runes, arithmancy, and more, all structured around owl and newt examination that directly feed into career paths. And the people this system has produced speak for themselves. Dumbledore, McGonagall, who managed her animagus transformation while still in her teens. Snape, who was inventing spells and rewriting potion methods as a teenager. 4 students made the Marauders map while still in school, an artifact that tracked every person in the castle in real time. And Harry, a 14-year-old, held his own in the Triwizard Tournament against older champions from 3 schools, including his own. Asterisks the size of a Hungarian horntail, sure. But a 4th year performing at that level says something about what Hogwarts can produce at its best. For a lot of us, Hogwarts was the first place that felt like it was ours. I respect Hogwarts. Genuinely. Now let's look at its safety record. Year 1. Voldemort living on the back of a teacher's head all year and nobody notices. 3-headed dog behind a door a first year can unlock. Mountain troll in the building. 3 11-year-olds end up saving the school because the adults didn't. Year 2. Giant basilisk hunting students through the plumbing. A 12-year-old kills it with a sword and a bird. Year 3. Dementors stationed around children as security. Convicted killer on the ground. Year 4. A student entered into a lethal tournament by a Death Eater disguised as a teacher, a disguise that fooled Dumbledore for an entire year. A student died. Cedric Diggory. He was 17. Years 5 through 7 are where it stops being negligence and starts being collapse. Umbridge carving words into children's hands during detention. Death Eaters breaching the castle. Dumbledore murdered on campus. Then the school taken over entirely. Students tortured as discipline, and the final battle of the war fought inside the building. Students die defending their own school. But most of what went wrong at Hogwarts traces back to Voldemort, and the question was never whether Voldemort caused the crisis. The question is whether the school handled them. And every time, The answer is no. A student was murdered during a school event. Voldemort possessed a teacher for a year. A war was fought in the hallway. Hogwarts had more information, more resources, and more powerful staff than any other school on this list, and it still failed its students over and over. Campus gets a 9. Yes, 9, not 10. The castle is iconic, but the Forbidden Forest is actively hostile. The Whomping Willow has been attacking students since it was planted, and the Room of Requirement killed a student and nearly took several more in its final year of use. Gorgeous? Absolutely. Perfect? No. Total 35. Best known school on the list. Worst safety record by a mile. That safety score is an anchor, and it pulls everything else down. 35. From the most famous wizarding school ever written. And the 3 schools above it, most of you have probably never heard of them. Number 4. Mahoutokoro, Japan. Sitting on a volcanic island called Minami Iwo Jima, completely uninhabited except for the school. Smallest student body of any recognized wizarding school. Do not let that fool you. Students start attending at age 7. Not as boarders, not yet. They fly to and from the school each day on the backs of giant storm petrels. 7-year-olds, flying across the ocean on enormous birds every morning. Boarding starts at 11, but the fact that a 7-year-old's daily commute involves riding a storm petrel over open water tells you everything about what this school expects from its students from day 1. Every student gets enchanted robes when they arrive. The robes start faint pink, and as you improve at magic, the color deepens and shifts. Your skill level is visible on your body at all time. But if you ever practice dark magic, your robes turn white instantly. Not after an investigation, not after a committee, the robes just know. You're expelled, you're flagged, and the Japanese magical authorities are notified. If Hogwarts had this system, Quirrell's robes would have gone white before the welcome feast was over. So would Barty Crouch Jr. So would... Actually, let's just move on. Now, the limitation. Mahoutokoro is a small school on a remote island. The standards might be among the best in the world, but the wizarding world at large hasn't necessarily noted. What we do know is that the school's name doesn't carry the automatic recognition that Hogwarts or Beauxbatons does. 37. Mahoutokoro built the single best accountability system any wizarding school has ever had. No waiting for a student to die before someone asks questions. The robes handle it in real time. That's reason 3. Number 3. Castelobruxo, deep in the Amazon rainforest in Brazil. Built out of golden rock, hidden so well that any non-magical person who wanders near it only sees ruin. One of the top schools in the world for magizology and herbology, which makes sense when your campus is literally inside the most biodiverse place on the planet. Most wizarding schools have a creature problem. Hogwarts has Peeves, a giant squid, an acromantula colony, and whatever else has wandered out of the forest that week. Castelobruxo is guarded by Caipora, trickster spirits from indigenous Brazilian folklore. And here's what's interesting. They don't cause problem. They protect the student. The school took the thing that causes chaos at every other institution and turned it into a security system. And Castelobruxo's identity is deeply tied to its region, its environment, its tradition. That's a genuine strength for the students who attend, but it means what makes the school great doesn't translate easily outside of South America. It's not that nobody's heard of it, it's that what makes it special is inseparable from where it is. 38. A golden campus in the Amazon where the creatures actually protect you. Castelobruxo took the thing Hogwarts struggles with most and turned it into the school's greatest strength. That's reason 4. Number 2. Beauxbatons Academy of Magic, France. A chateau somewhere in the Pyrenees. People have been talking about Beauxbatons for 600 years. First, the films got something wrong. Beauxbatons is not an all-girls school. The movies made it look that way, but canonically, it takes all students. Just wanted to clear that up because it changes how you picture the place. The dining hall has ice sculptures, wood nymphs who serenade you while you eat. At Hogwarts, nearly headless Nick is floating through your mashed potatoes talking about his death day party. These are not comparable dining experiences. But Beauxbatons isn't just pretty. Their academics are built around precision and rigor, and their most famous graduate is Nicholas Flamel, the greatest alchemist in wizarding history. Created the Philosopher's Stone, lived for over 600 years. If you can name a more impressive line on a resume, I'd genuinely like to hear it. Then there's Fleur Delacour, Tri-Wizard champion, fought with the Order of the Phoenix, showed up at the Battle of Hogwarts and fought. She'd married into the Weasley family by then, and she had every reason to sit the fight out. She wasn't a Hogwarts graduate, she wasn't British, she chose to be there, wand drawn. That tells you who she is. We're never told Beauxbatons uses a house system. What we see feels collaborative rather than tribal. The culture looks refined, without being exclusive. The flaw. We don't know as much about daily life inside Beauxbatons we'd like. The elegance might be hiding gaps, and the school's reputation rests heavily on Flamel. Remove that single name, and Beauxbatons' clout drops considerably, which tells you the reputation is thinner than it looks. 39. Beauxbatons is the most complete school on this list. Strong across every category, no catastrophic weakness. And Fleur Delacour is proof that the culture at Beauxbatons produces people who don't just look polished, they show up. That's reason 5. But the school at number 1 has not one reason, but 2. Number 1. Uagadu, Uganda. Almost certainly the oldest wizarding school in the world, possibly predating every other school on this list. Carved into the mountains of the moon, and it's also the largest, serving students from across the entire African continent. You don't get an acceptance letter delivered by owl, you get accepted in a dream. You fall asleep, receive the message, and wake up holding a token in your hand that proves it was real. The curriculum leans into astronomy, alchemy, and self-transfiguration. Students here are especially skilled at shapeshift. Becoming an animagus at Hogwarts is so rare, the ministry keeps a registry of the handful of wizards who've ever pulled it off. At Uagadu, it's standard coursework. That alone would be enough to set it apart. That's reason 6. And then there's reason 7, the one that puts Uagadu in a category by itself. They don't need wands. Every other school on this list teaches students to channel magic through a tool, a wand, something external. If that tool breaks, you're in trouble. The wand chooses the wizard, and if that relationship breaks, you're starting over. Uagadu students have adopted wands over the last century. They can use them. But wandless magic isn't an advanced class here. It's the starting point. Every student, from day 1, you learn to cast with your hands, your body, your intent. The wand is an option, not a requirement. The wandless magic, the self-transfiguration, the sign, the aid, the acceptance process, all of it points to a school that isn't just doing the same thing better. It's doing something fundamentally different. Every other school on this list teaches you how to use magic. Uagadu teaches you that you are magic. 40 out of 50. If a Hogwarts student's wand snaps, they're done. If a Uagadu student's wand snaps, they keep going. Hogwarts will always feel like the best wizarding school. That's where we met Harry, Ron, and Hermione. That's where we sorted ourselves, picked our wands, imagined our Patronus. Dumbledore once said it does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live, but Hogwarts was the dream. For a lot of us, it still is. I'm not taking that from you, but the best wizarding school isn't the most famous. It's the one that finds you in your sleep and says, you belong here, and then teaches you that you never needed anything but yourself. The best wizarding school is Uagadu. Now, Hogwarts letter or Uagadu dream, same night. Which one are you choosing? Drop it in the comment, like if I actually changed your mind. Subscribe if you want more Harry Potter content that makes you rethink everything you thought you knew.